Open this room right here. Yep.
Am I being held for bail?
No. No, paperwork's done. That's what I was waiting on.
Okay.
Okay, that's sort of the delay. We got one person working up front, so I had a lot of the stuff prepared in advance. Like when I talked to you on Friday, it was like paperwork was being done. It was just a matter of printing it off, and then I get downstairs, and I look at it, and it's missing a date. I'm like, I gotta review it. You know, it's one of those things. So, just so you know, the audio and video that I'm on, I want to take this opportunity. I do this with everybody I have come in, is sort of lay out things, and you know, I know you've spoken to your lawyer. I would serve that little document, which is generally what lawyers will give as a general advice to everybody. Are you satisfied with the advice that your lawyers provided you today? Okay.
Yeah.
Just for the purpose of the video, it's, what time is it? 3:19 p.m. And I have to go through this again just because I'm doing this on video. Before I ask you any questions, I do have to do this. If anything during the course of our conversation changes in my mind that alters your what we call jeopardy. So if I think, okay, you've said something to me that changes or adds or more adds charges. If it subtracts charges, not a big deal. I can just say, I'll take that one away. But if it like changes, I've got the charges as we listed, as I mentioned to you earlier. And I mean, you're free to respond. I know that document basically says you're not going to provide me with a statement. That's fine, but I'd like to take the opportunity. And common law basically says I have the right as a police officer to investigate. Part of that is presenting my case to you, which is, well, I'll give you sort of run through some of the stuff that I've collected to date. If you feel like you want to respond, that's fine. If you just sit there and don't say anything, that's fine too. I'm going to go through my spiel, and then we'll see where everything lies from there. Sorry, 18th of January?
Yeah.
Sorry, year again?
88.
And you're a social service worker or social worker?
Registered social service worker.
Social. And that's at that Mandarin Ottawa, is it?
Yeah, that's where I work.
How's that going? What specifically are you doing there? Like, I don't know. I mean, I know what social workers generally do.
Social service
worker. Okay, so mesh that out for me. Inform me, because now I'm confused.
Basically, the only difference is a lot of years in school, and I can't diagnose. But
okay, all right. So it has to do the diagnosis. It's sort of like the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Like, one can prescribe medication and the other one can't.
Sort of. More like the difference between a registered nurse and a registered practical nurse.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I have a lot of friends who are nurses. So it's August 8th, 2016. So, as I said before, the charges are theft under 5,000. Theft under or over? The theft was under 5,000.
Okay.
And I'll explain. I'll go through all the charges and explain how I kind of came up with and the mischief is the mischief over 5,000. But as I go through it, I'll explain sort of where we've come, how I've come to those charges. And I mean everything. This one is there's box one. That's one box of just documents. Plus, I have a ton of stuff on computer right now. Like I've got a hard drive which has got stuff on it. I've got videotapes. I've got stuff on my own, like on our network server from things that I've collected and information. So we'll sort of everything that's applicable will be disclosed to your lawyer anyways. So one count of mischief over 5,000. Mischief to data. Unauthorized use of the computer. And I'm reading Detective Wilson, who was with me, and we're telling her what the charges are. And she said they're on unauthorized use of the computer. Really? Some of these charges for her, even her, and she's been on the job, I've been on the job 16 years she's been on the job. She's been involved in policing for over 20 years. That she was like, that's a new charge to me. But, we deal with different things.
Right.
I deal with a lot of these computer frauds, sexual assaults. That's sort of my domain, and she deals with other stuff that I have no interest in. So when she tells me, drug stuff, I'm like, tell me when you're going to go and do a raid somewhere, and I'll be happy with that. But unauthorized use of a computer, traffic, identity information. I had a pause from Alejandro there. He was kind of like, you want to see that again? So, even it caught him off guard, and he's involved in the legal trades. So. And then the last one was publish information. And that was the Child and Family Services Act. The charge. That's under the Provincial Act, so conviction on that, just so you know, won't result in a criminal record. It's a provincial offense. It's like a traffic ticket, sort of that side of it. The rest of those are all criminal code charges. So, again, as I said earlier, it's my duty to inform you of the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay. You have the right to telephone any lawyer you wish. You also have the right to free advice from a legal aid lawyer. If you were charged with an offense, you may apply the Ontario Legal Aid Plan for assistance. 1-800-265-0451 is the number, the toll-free number that'll put you in contact with a legal aid duty counsel lawyer for free legal advice right now. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you wish to call a lawyer? Not like at this point. We already had the phone call.
You'll get another chance later.
Yeah, you can speak to him later if at any point during our conversation you want to just shut it down and consult with him. By all means, we can shut down the interview and go and make that phone call. You wish to say anything? Sort of start at the bottom. I'll work my way up. If you've spoken to any police officer or anyone with authority, or if any such person has spoken to you in connection with this case, I clearly understood that I do not want to influence you making any statements. You understand this caution? Nod ahead means yes.
Yes.
No problem. Thankfully, the camera's there, not behind your head. They wouldn't see your movement. You wish to say anything in answer to this charge? You're not allowed to say anything unless you wish to do so. But whatever you say, maybe give it in evidence. Do you wish to say anything at this time? No. All right. That goes in the pile of more paperwork. All right. So social service work, you did that at Algonquin College, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long is that program?
2 years.
2 years? All at campus, or?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so what kind of training do you do for that? Like, what are the courses like there?
Mental health, addictions, advocacy, legislation, stuff like that.
Okay.
Psychology.
So when did you graduate from that?
2015. Last year.
You did high school here, or?
Yeah.
SF, or?
Yeah.
Were you born and raised here in Smith Falls, or?
6 months when I came here.
Oh, okay. So you essentially, I think you said you were born in Hawkesbury. So what brought your family to the Smith Falls area?
Hershey.
I was going to say chocolate.
Yeah.
People sort of probably within 25 to 40-year age range, it's usually, or even some of the older population, it's usually Hershey was the big thing. So mom, dad. Mom worked at Hershey, dad worked at Hershey?
My dad did.
Your dad did?
Yeah.
Okay. Your mom's still around? Dad's still around, or did he pass?
He passed in 2012.
2012? Okay, my condolences. I didn't know that. So, a lot of with your schooling, a lot of computer work. You know your way around a computer.
I respectfully decline.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's
saying anything.
Based on what I've seen, you know your way around a computer. At least Facebook.
No, I respectfully decline to say any information.
No offense, David. That's fine. How about Derek? Does he know how to use a computer?
I respectfully decline to say anything.
Alright. That's fine. So, of those ones that I got upstairs, which ones would you say were yours, or are they just like household computers?
I respectfully decline to say anything.
Yeah. You're going to be one of those, aren't you? Alright. Okay, so if you're going to not answer those questions, I'm just going to go through sort of what I've developed over the last 3.5 months as sort of a timeline for the stuff that's gone on with Kelly Denham in relation to CAS. Okay, so April 27th, 2015, there's a pocket dial from your cell phone to Ashley in Ottawa. She's like, she hears something, maybe she was mistaken. Actually, I know she was mistaken because I did talk to her. She's like, okay, this was, yeah, I did call the police, but it was a misunderstanding. I can get that. We get those 100 times in a month, kind of people get in the hang of tell phone's dialed 911 and we hear something on the end, we've got to act on it. So somebody calls and complains, right? So, well-being check. Feel free to interject at any time here. Officers show up to your house. Do you remember that?
I respectfully decline to say any information.
Well, that's fine, but you know what? I know what you posted on the internet. I've seen all that. I've got all that. I've collected all that stuff. That's my job. I'm a detective. I'm supposed to look at these things. All right. So what I'm asking you isn't unknown to me, the other officers here, you, and whoever your followers are on Facebook, LiveLeak, YouTube, space-coyote. I like the Homer Simpson reference. I'm a big Simpsons fan. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that, I had it laugh at that. Screw you, space-coyote. Okay, so the officers that attended back in April didn't like the conditions of your house. That's essentially what I gather from the report. Okay, they contact CAS, as we're obliged to do when we see a situation where children need to be looked at a little bit better. So CAS does some follow-up. You or Derek give them some grief, so they start calling us to go and assist, which they have every right if they feel that it's a situation that they need support. They aren't armed. They don't have any. They're social workers or social service workers. They're not trained in, self-defense. Their job isn't to go hands-on with people if they get abusive. Not that they thought you were going to be abusive, but you were giving them some grief, so they called us. All right. So what did they do after that?
I respectfully decline to say anything.
Okay, that's fine. I know what they did after that because you posted it all over the internet. They want to get you into a supervision order. They filed what you deemed to be a false affidavit. How do I know that? Because I've seen all your postings. I've talked to Kimura. I've been in touch with CAS. I've, reviewed those videos. So I kind of get an idea of where you're coming from. Oh, and I also have all your emails from Algonquin Live, which I got under warrant. So I know a lot of stuff out of that account there. And I had a computer expert examine the stuff that I took from your house. And they found a shitload of stuff on there, which results in the theft charge. So the theft charge is for stealing the documents, which are rightfully CAS's documents. They're not for Miss Social Advocate Kelly Denham to possess. You have no color of right to those documents. They are the business documents of an organization which you weren't even a client of except for that small window after April. Because once CAS decided we don't want the supervision order and they dropped everything at family court, you are no longer deemed a current client. But you still have a chip on your shoulder. You've had a chip on your shoulder for a long time. I'm not entirely sure why. All of your kids are staying with you at home, correct? Don't say respectfully declined. That's not going to be something. See, the thing is, the criminal code or the common law basically says I can ask you all the questions in the world and I can sit here forever. Yeah, and I agree. But you gotta look at the optics of this, Kelly. Because I'll tell you something. You've already admitted to this basically on public forums. I've got 3 witnesses that, at a minimum, they came forward to me and said, what the deuce, this is screwed up. This should not have happened. And I confronted her on it. And this is what she told me, basically, that the public has the right to know. In certain circumstances, I would agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. In other circumstances, the general public does not need to know the names of 285 people who had dealings with CAS in the prior year. It's none of my business. None of the business of my neighbor to know if I was involved with CAS. So that's where, I agree with you. There's certain circumstances where accountability and transparency is there, but there's also private information that doesn't need to be out in the general public. Unfortunately, that link that you posted on your Facebook page, oh, by the way, I don't think Mario Sanchez actually exists. I think he's a creation of you or Derek created to try and make distance between you so you could just sort of try and skate any criminal liability. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
pretty smart. You can say it makes sense. You could also tell me if all of your kids are currently in your custody, because that's not something that's part of this. This is just information.
I know I asked that.
Why did I ask that? Why do I ask that? Because to me, if somebody has has all their kids and CAS isn't involved, why do they continue on by filing complaints and complaining publicly on forums like Facebook and LiveLeak and surreptitiously record the, directors of CAS and make demands of them for, a review? Yet, in all those conversations that I'm hearing, you're like, I want a review. They're offering up what they are legally allowed to do, and you shoot them in the foot by saying, oh, that's not acceptable. So, anyways, go back to my sort of timeline, and you can chime in as you want. So there's the, you put up a stake. You did, right? You complained about this affidavit. You're pretty convinced that they lied. Okay, not me to judge, but that's for the judge and family court to determine. But you put up the stake, so CAS says, oh, you know what? Let's not go with the supervision order. Let's just sort of, all right, you know what? Clean up your house, Kelly Denham, Derek Flagg, make sure your kids have, socks on their feet and clothes on when we show up, and we'll kind of, they try to dust you off and send you on your way. Most people would be happy, more than happy, to have no attention from CAS or the police whatsoever. But not Kelly Denham and Derek Flagg. Post stuff on the internet, have formal meetings with CAS, try to work out a resolution. It's not working. You're not getting the satisfaction, or you feel like they're not being accountable or transparent. The walls are going up again. You're kind of feeling trapped, like you're not going to be able to tell the public how much pain in the ass CAS is and how they do everything wrong. because I've got a 2-year social service worker degree and I know the world. My experience, you and Derek are those kinds of individuals who get a little bit of knowledge and think they can take on the whole world. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's what I think here. You think, you did your internship at ODSP, you have all kinds of little notes and things on your Algonquin College account, communications about the SAMS program and how much I'm paying the ass. Don't need you to be worried about that, because you know what? The media and the Ontario government are all over that. The government are going like, it's screwed up. It shouldn't have been implemented. They're trying to fix it. Media are on top of them. I think they've got enough exposure on that. Kelly Denham doesn't have to do this. So I appreciate that, there are people there, but you're on the inside. And you're using information there that you were gaining during your internship. And turning it around, and now you're doing whatever. And I really don't care what the ODSP thing. Autism thing, I understand, there's a personal reason behind that. Fine, Danny, do what you can to help people with autism. I'm all for it. I don't think what they're doing right now with the provincial government cutting off programs for those over 6, I don't think that's fair. So you've got me there. I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem when people expose other people's information about this. So during this time, you or Derek find a hole in the CAS website. Oh, you're like, ooh, this is cool. Who found it, you or Derek?
I respectfully decline.
Because right now you're both on the hook for it, because Derek's getting charged with the exact same thing. So if you don't tell me Derek did it, or you tell me Derek did it, and Derek says Kelly did it, and it's up to a judge to decide. And if he can't decide based on the evidence there, both of you are going to get convicted of this. Do you know what the penalty is for this? For these charges? It can be up to 10 years in jail and $10,000 fine. Or. I don't think you have $10,000 in your bank account, do you? And your shot at the class action lawsuit has just gone down the drain. Because you're the named Jane Doe. Because it was like, I have the copy of the filing for the class action upstairs. And the last person on there, goes through Ministry of Correctional or whatever it is, family circle. The ministry that covers CASs, right? Province of Ontario, the executive director, Mr. LeMay, Kim Morrow, another name. It goes on and on about, there's about 6 names, and the last one is and Jane Doe. Because Jane Doe posted the link that she or her husband found, whether or not it was, legit hack, which I don't think it was. I don't think you or him have the computer savvy to be sitting there breaking encryption code. This is, as you said to me on April 21st, this is all on them. Yeah, you know what? And they even admitted in the media that they may not have locked down a directory. It happens. Like I said to you on the 21st when I came through your door at 2 in the morning and took all those computers. Just because you see an open door doesn't mean you can go in and steal their shit. So you find the website hole. Beautiful. Fun. April 17th at some point you post this. Or you repost the web link with this Mario Sanchez thing. So you're building that little buffer of plausible deniability. You know what that is? Well, I didn't know. It's plausible deniability. That's exactly what you did. And you admit it. You know where you admit it? Off of your BlackBerry. Oh yeah, so I get all these computers. I have to find somebody who can process them. I got a general warrant from a judge who says, yeah, you know what? You have the right to go in and check those computers for those things. So on that computer, on the Sony laptop, there are 172 documents that I looked at. It may be a little less now because some look like CAS documents, some may not be, but there's I'd say safely 140 documents on there, on that computer, that are CAS property, theft charge. The mischief charge, just so you know, mischief charge stems from you posting that Facebook link, exposing all 285 names. I believe at least 50 times it was accessed after you posted it. It was accessed 50 times roughly by other IP addresses. You know what an IP address is, right? It's an identifier for a computer. So separate IP addresses access that at least 50 times. Causes them to shut down their network. Causes all kinds of problems for family and children's services at Leonard, Leeds, and Grenville because they have to now redeploy their staff to deal with this security breach, which they were, yes, I admit, they were aware of back in February-ish, February, March, after you posted a video that flashed up a whole bunch of different families, children's services documents. Somebody there went, what the hell? So they went to their computer people consulted an outside consultant, and they tried to fix it with their web provider. After that, they didn't come to police. They thought the issue was dealt with until April 17th, 18th, 19th, around then, when this link went up. You cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little chilly in here. Yeah. This building's all screwed up as far as temperatures. Some offices are cold, some offices are warm. So.
The cells are really cold.
Not as cold as our old place. Mm. Our old place was even colder because it was on the outside, like directly on the outside wall. Here, not so much, and it's a newer system, so it keeps it warm. So, because of that posting, they had to turn around and they had to contact 285 individuals and tell them, your information is out there. We apologize. They're going to pay the price? Most likely. Maybe not $75 million in a class action lawsuit, but there'll be some sort of settlement. But you and Derek won't be on that settlement because you're currently facing the charges for causing the fiasco in the first place. And I think there was a lot of premeditation to this. I think you and Derek, you or Derek, or both of you together, were getting ticked off that you weren't getting the answers that you wanted to hear out of Kim Morrow. So how better to blow the doors off of this and possibly get some money to boot is by going to the media and going to a lawyer to say, hey, I know there's a breach here. There's a security issue on their computers. I want to do a story about it. Got that off your Algonquin Live, which shows me that you went and contacted media and legal advice, sought legal advice well before that link was posted. I also have link emailed to the Algonquin Live email address from your Gmail account. So it's there. You shared a document with people that you shouldn't have. You got to make sure to get their names right. There's a ministry letter titled Stephen Vaughn. You shared that with Jewel Purdon and Elizabeth Wilton of Families United, which is this other thing that you're involved with. You shared that document with them. You had no right to share that document with them. It was not yours to possess in the first place. So the post goes up and down on the 18th because I think you were getting a little scared that things were going to turn south. And then on the 19th, you were confronted on Facebook. Sorry, on the 18th. Somewhere around there. Might get my dates off by 1 or 2 because a lot happened in a short amount of time. And then magically at around 3:30 in the afternoon, the Facebook post is pulled down, police are called, and investigation ensues. CAS go into damage control. They issue a press release because that's the prudent thing to do to let people know that they don't necessarily have their most up-to-date information or have trouble getting a hold of, saying, we've experienced a problem and we're now going to try and make it right. So that's their side of it, but it gets picked up by Post Media. So The Sun, Ottawa Citizen, Toronto Star, CGOH News picks up on it, right? And then the next day, actually I'll go back to the 19th. Yeah, sorry. So it's the 18th, everything comes, yeah, that's right. 18th everything goes to hell in a handbasket. 19th is damage control day for CAS. They put a press release, it's put on the internet the next day, April 20th. You post on Facebook the link to the Toronto Star article and say, this might have been me. Admission number 1. Beautiful. I love it. Admission number 2 comes around the same time. Derek posts, I found a hole and they call me a hacker. It was a hole. It wasn't a hack. It wasn't like, have you ever seen the movie Swordfish? John Travolta? Recruit that guy, come in and start hacking computers. And he sits there, I think it was Hugh Jackman. He sits there and he types and types and types and types and types and types and he's breaking into computers and they basically are threatening his life and whatnot. It's not like your traditional, you broke through a friggin' encrypted computer, you found a hole. You walked in through the front, the back door and scooped a whole bunch of information that would serve your personal vendetta against CAS. Pretty good, eh? Unless you tell me otherwise. This is the story that I'm going to be telling the Crown Attorney, who's then going to present all of this at court. 170 documents on your computer, your BlackBerry, which I extracted conversations, even though you might have thought they were deleted. It's amazing. This shit is amazing. So, I think at the end of the day, your motive is 1, vendetta, but 2, you're thinking, I can get some money out of the CAS out of this because what was the one here? To go back to. Oh yeah, I'll get to that in a second. There's a conversation from the 19th. 20th at 11:01 p.m. to your mom. 11:52. Your mom texts you and says, "How did it go in Ottawa?" 11:01 p.m. or a.m. You type back, "Went good, I think. I can't start the class action, but I can join it. He's going to represent me, though, if the cops come. Says it could go either way." And Mom says, "But they can start a class action suit against you." You respond to her at 11:31 by saying, "Nope." You're Gendo. Remember that. This is the greatest. So I get this file on the 19th. And I'm like wrapping my head around it. Things happened. The 18th, the 19th. I'm still working through this. I'm getting the information that I need. Talking to CAS, talking to their computer guy. So I finish my day and I go home. I sit at home and I'm like eating my dinner with my kids. Sure enough, it comes up.
Family and Children's Services of Lanark, Leeds, and Grenville are currently reporting that they've experienced a security breach and a leak of 285. I'm paraphrasing here. And then I sit there and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm listening to it, but I know the story, right, at this point, because I know CAS said, yeah, we put out a press release. So I'm sitting there. And then guess who I hear talking to Joanne Schnur? Kelly Denham. And I dropped my fork, told my kids to cover their ears, and looked at my wife and went, holy fuck. And she's like, what? I said, I know that voice. I've been listening to that voice on YouTube for the last day. And she goes, really? I'm like, I'm 99% sure that that's my suspect. Because you're already on my radar at that point. I'll tell you how I got you got on the radar almost immediately in a second. So then I get this extraction from your phone. And it's like, you talk to your mom about talking to the reporter at CTV. You talk to Ash. How was it? Maybe not her. That's your web history. There wasn't much interesting on that BlackBerry. That BlackBerry wasn't very good, was it? It's like mine. Like one of these pieces of, I guess, like one of those. I have it upstairs. I should just check. You're not getting any of that stuff back, by the way. That's all evidence. Every single piece of it right now. Let the judge decide what you get back. But there was some stuff that the tech couldn't get in because there was some encrypted stuff on there. So whatever he deems as being encrypted and he can't read it, I'm going to have to just believe that there's probably some information on there that might be criminal in nature, privacy information. At the end of the day, the hard drives will be destroyed. You might get the computer shells back, but the hard drives will be taken. What's the comment that you said to Pat? Like this, even your Pat, your brother, was even worried about stuff happening to you and Derek. So Mom told me what happened, and I'm not sure if Smith's Falls Finest are reading this, but Mom and I are working on a contingency plan in case things get bad. Even your family were concerned that you're going to get in trouble for this. When you leave here, you can call them and say, yeah, I got in trouble for this. Interesting conversations in there. I don't know if you want me to talk to say these out on. It's like Ash, one of your good friends, and Dan's your husband. There's some talk in here that's just. If you were my wife, I'd be punting you at the door. And you're not even the one that's saying it. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. That's really none of my business. But I'm just saying, like, I got everything off of your BlackBerry. Yeah, you can hear you. You even talk about doing this food thing, mission, which I guess went for a crab.
Yeah, remember you contact my boss, who's brother-in-law with Andrews. He just informed me that he can be sued once the health department comes in. There'll be a very big fine. That's from Dan. Right?
Was this one of your noble causes that you were trying to get into to help the citizens of Smiths Falls with a soup kitchen kind of thing, and you got crapped on by the health department or something? Neither here nor there. Like the stuff you're doing, and I get mission kind of thing, like soup kitchen, noble cause. Fight for autism, noble cause. Putting out the ODSP stuff. I think the government's on top of the fiasco. Still having a problem. We're going to the moon and planets. It's an interesting conversation. Oh yeah, there's that conversation. April 18th at 10:22. As much as Dan says someone fucked up, none of your fault. You go, cool. No, my name isn't in it at all. Actually, it was. There was. Oh no, they blurred that name out. Yeah, talking to a reporter, CTV reporter now. Good, put it to them. You're very smart. I know you'll be okay. Then he asked him if he gets CTV Ottawa. He seems to think that what you did was pretty noble and stick it to CAS. Yeah, stick it to CAS. They admitted fault that a back door may have been left open, and that's exactly what it was. You did not hack anything. It's true, you didn't hack anything. By definition, you just walked through an open door. Still illegal, though. That's what the unauthorized use of computer charge is. Just so you know, you can't use your computer to access a computer to which you have no right to access, even if the door is left open. And my information from CAS is that they were never told about it, even though you profess that they were told and they knew about it. Until February or March, when you posted that video with the documents in it, they had no clue that they had been hacked. They got advice from their web provider that they tell me was not exactly the best, and they were under the impression that everything was copacetic, and they continued on. But then, obviously, the link was still active on April 17th, 18th, when you posted it. I like this. Nope, this is to Dan from you. Nope, didn't, nothing, didn't break a single law. And you admit there that you posted the link only. The problem is, you're still trafficking in identity information. You made personal information of 285 people available publicly, reckless as to whether or not that information was going to be used for a good purpose or a bad purpose. As a result of this, I had a couple of reports back from CAS saying that when they contacted the names on that of the 285, that they were hearing reports that somebody was calling them claiming to be from CAS. So those names got out there, somebody took those names and were trying to perpetuate a fraud or a theft or some other criminal offense against these poor innocent people who had their name exposed by Kelly Denham and Derek Flynn.
So you're probably wondering in your head, how did CAS come up with me? Yes? No? Interested to find out? I'm going to tell you anyways because I love how this happened. So CAS sees that video in March, and they go, those are our documents. What the hell? So they go back, and they have their tech consultant do a check of their log lists. Unfortunately, or fortunate for you, because you could be looking at a lot more information that's out there. The web provider that they use only keeps 30 days of log lists, but they managed to secure the end of January to February and then again in April. So I have those log lists. They're friggin' long. They took me a long time to go through. I have the raw log lists with everybody's IP addresses who access that file or access the computer, legitimate, or even attempts, which any organization gets attempts on their websites all the time. People try to hack it. We get it. The Smiths Falls police website was infiltrated at one point, and some Al-Qaeda foreign language thing was put up in its place. Like, everybody has these things happen to them. So CAS goes back and says, we've got 2 IP addresses. 72.39.243.25. You know what an IP address is? Basically, it's an identifier for computer access to the internet. Every computer that goes onto the World Wide Web gets either what they call a dynamic IP address, which can change every time you go in. So, like, you get a dynamic one if you go to, like, Tim Hortons and use their free Wi-Fi or something like that. It changes all the time, so your phone isn't necessarily linked all the time by the same number. You get a different assigned number. The difference is, anybody who has a home internet, you've got a static IP address. So the number is assigned to that computer all the time. So I have, on my Wi-Fi at home, I've got 3 cell phones, an iPad, a laptop computer, and a printer. Each one of those had a unique identifying number on them. So they go and they check IP Tracker online. Free program on the internet, and they type in this number in there, and they go, all right, it comes back to the town of Smiths Falls. Doesn't give us much more than that. So that's one, and then there's a second one, 72.39.243.162. So there's the log list of just the accesses by one. There's the log list of the accesses for the second one. That one's 40 pages, the other one's 22 pages, and it's really cool because it shows the time, the date, the location, what the browser was that accessed it, what it was you were doing or trying to access, and then it'll give a code as to whether or not you were successful in uploading that or not. Based on that information, oh, but how did they come to Kelly Denham and Derek Flagg? Well, here's the deal. You were going back and forth with CAS for quite a long time, right? From April 2015 to, April 2016. Legitimate emails. You're sending information back and forth. You're asking for this, they're responding. There's back and forth with Kim Morrow. But every time you send an email, the IP address of the device that you were using is embedded in that email. So they go back and they go, Kelly Denham, space-coyote, posts those videos to YouTube or LiveLeak. So she's sort of on the radar. They go back and they go, well, how do we know who actually, how do we figure out who 72.39.243.25 is? They decide to go and pull the headers and find where those numbers lead to. And you know what? Those numbers are embedded in your Algonquin Live emails to and from CAS, legitimate emails that either are blocked, some are blocked, right? Like sometimes emails go through and sometimes emails don't. DNH0013@algonquinlive.com. I know I highlighted it here. There we go. Originating from 72.39.243.162. Tells me exactly where that originated from. So they come back and they go, we think it's Kelly or Derek, but most likely Kelly. What can you do? I'm like, all right, give me that information. But in the meantime, they get into panic mode because they're going in. They go into check their logs, and they find another document that was like super bigger than the 285 client list that was on that link. They call my deputy chief because I hadn't been in. I was late shift. They call my deputy chief and say, like, we need something done urgently because there's a potential that they have that document based on IP addresses and all that. So I take that up and I'm like, all right, fine. And I spend 4 or 5 hours banging out a telewarrant to search your house. Bang goes the door at 2 a.m. I go in, I collect the computers that I think are involved. I've still not yet found that one that they're concerned about. So I don't think you even realize what the document was when you try to access it, or it was deleted at some point. Could have been one of those secured PDFs, Adobe documents, because there's a bunch of those on your computer. But the crazier thing is the document, and I don't know if you even remember, but it was the file was 05 intake stat was their documents. Was the document that had that link. Repost. That document is on your hard drive. And you know when you obtained all those documents? Well, I know you know exactly when you obtained those documents, but the computer forensic guy at the Ottawa Police goes, they got all these documents back in early February. So you sat on that information and that knowledge for a couple of months until you got pissed off that nothing was being done by CAS to be accountable and transparent. But I think the real money, the real motive is money. So you went looking at a lawyer trying to get in on a class action lawsuit. Can't start it. You can join it. Good luck with that. So that's the story I'm going to tell the Crown Attorney. And we're going to spend a lot of time going through these computer files. I'm going to explain to the Crown Attorney, that IP address was in that email. That IP address also accessed this many documents this many times. And it's like 300-400 times. It's not just once crawl in, look at it, go, oh, what the hell is this? This isn't right. See, I should know that this information is out there. No. Go in 400 or 500 times. Upload 140, 170 documents. Put them on my hard drive for a later day.
And for your sake, I was hoping that this was like a bigger conspiracy and there was something like you were instructed to do this by somebody and they threatened your life and blah, blah, blah. But I don't see any of that. I don't see a big, huge conspiracy. I see Kelly Denham and Derek Flagg being pissed off at CAS and seeking revenge. Am I wrong? Am I completely out to left field? Because this is your opportunity, and I know you were told, don't say anything to the police, don't say anything to the police, don't say anything to the police. But given now that you have an idea of how much computer forensic evidence there is pointing towards you guys, oh yeah, I did get a warrant, sorry. I didn't sort of match that. This is why Derek's involved, because A, I see a lot of emails in your Algonquin account linked to Derek and addressed to Derek. So I have reason to believe that Derek had knowledge, consent, and control about everything that was going on here. So you're jointly charged on that. You're both going to have to face the courts on it. Obviously, I told you he was going to be charged. So based on that, after I get your computers, I send those to Ottawa. I contact Algonquin College because I know that Algonquin College account, proper emails are going there. So I contact Algonquin College IT guy. They're like, I don't know if we're going to be able to get you much, but I'll go and look at her file. If there's anything there, I'll let you know. The thing is, with big organizations like Algonquin College, Cogeco, Bell, whatever, they keep stuff. Even if you delete your stuff off of their computer servers, the stuff is retained for like years. Legally they have to. It's called retention periods. We have them here too. We have to retain documents for a certain amount of time after depending on what it is. So if it's a criminal code thing, I just retain everything for 6 months after a conviction is registered, and then I can delete or get rid of some of the stuff that I don't need. So that way I don't have like banker's boxes of stuff sitting in my office for years and years. So Algonquin goes back and they go, we got a lot of stuff in here that might be useful for your investigation, including and then all right, I'll write another paper. Go and get all that stuff from Algonquin College. This is the stuff I vetted out from Algonquin College. Again, you're going to get copies of all this, but I'm sure you already know what's in here. Oh yeah, emails from Kelly Denham to Kelly Denham, January 25th, 2016, 05 intake frequency chart .pdf, Stephen Vaughn .pdf. I had CAS go back. I gave them this list. And they're going to testify on the fact that all those documents that are in these emails in January, which because their log lists from their web provider were deleted, they're going to say they're going to go. Those are all the way. That's the file names that we've got. Plus, I've got a lot of these on your computer as it is, which by the end of this week, I'll have the Ottawa Police doing digital fingerprinting of the actual documents to prove that the documents that are on your server are the same as the documents that are on the CAS servers, the originals. They can do that. It's really cool. It's called hashing. I learned something new. Oh, there it is. February 15th, 2016. There's the link to the 05 intake stats.xlsx. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Where'd you get that from? Because right now it looks like you found it and you sent it to yourself from one email account to another email account. So if you've got somebody else who's been feeding the information and you want them to get in trouble instead of you guys eating everything, you might as well pipe up now, because I will certainly investigate that angle of it as well. But if you don't give me any information, you sit here silent, it's not gonna help you at all. This is your one and only opportunity to tell the police exactly what this is all about and why you did it. So the Algonquin stuff gave me a fair amount of good stuff. Oh, yeah, here's the other reason why I think Derek's involved. Like, unless you set up your husband to have a fake Plenty of Fish account. He's been using that email address for Plenty of Fish account. Kind of cool. Or he, that's what I believe. It's in here somewhere. There's one email I wanted to, which really threw it to me. Oh yeah, media and legal. This is why I think it was exposing CAS, and maybe I'll profit from it. That's your video, 27th of May. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there's another reason why I think I know Derek had full. There's some emails from Jeff Launchmay's office in here that I got lawfully, just so you know, that are addressed to Derek. So, you send stuff back to Launchmay's office, signed by both of you. So I have a feeling that, I'm confident that he's just as in it as you are. Because this is really this is the actions that you've demonstrated here. Yeah, April 17th. I just discovered our local CAS has made client information publicly available. A link to the document was sent to me, blah, blah, blah. It looks like that was sent to the lawyer's firm just before it actually got out there. Which is actually kind of funny, because then I go back and I look, oh, you had that link back in February. You've known about it for a while, and you sat on it until Kim Morrow started saying, we're not doing anything else for you. Sorry. Take your argument somewhere else. Oh, April 11th. This is before the link went out on Facebook that you posted, that you readily admit to doing, which is fine. I have a mountain of documents that were sent to me about our local Children's Aid Society in Smiths Falls. Oh, there it is again. There's Kelly Denham trying to kind of distance herself from actually being known as the one who actually found the documents. You weren't sent the documents. You found the bloody documents, or Derek found the bloody documents, and you're telling members of the media and a lawyer that you were forwarded these documents, because trust me, this anonymous group, it's these guys that do all the computer shit. They wear the Guy Fawkes masks, that funny mask with the guy with the mustache. Those guys don't give a shit about CAS. Those guys give a shit about Vladimir Putin and Barack Obama and stuff like that. They don't care about Kelly Denham and her run-ins with CAS. So if you're going to tell me that some dude from this anonymous group sent you the documents, it'd be hard to believe. Yeah, so that's going back to... You look at me like I've got two heads when I talk about anonymous. You don't know about anonymous? This is the website that Mario Sanchez posted that link. Was one of those anonymous Facebook groups. They're the real hackers. They're the ones that'll sit there and bust through things and break codes and passwords and stuff like that. So that was the Algonquin stuff, a lot of incriminating stuff in there. Cogeco, once they got the warrant, they were more than happy to show me that. That's the subscriber information for the 2 IP addresses right back there. And you and Derek are the only 2 grown-ups in that household, correct? So if somebody else did this, I'll certainly charge them.
I certainly have no problem doing that. If I have evidence to support, if you say that oh yeah, we know that your computer accessed the Facebook page in order to check that link out on Mary Sanchez. Just saying. And I've got all that information secured with Facebook. I just have to write a paper to get all that information as well. It might take me some time. Got to go international because Facebook is down in the States. But if I give them the right, the proper warrant, they'll certainly give me all the information of what they have on file there. Covered that. So is this a big conspiracy against you now? Is that what you think? Because that's what you told me on the 21st of April when I came through your door. Oh, this is all on them. You blaming CAS for this? Simple yes or no question. Are you blaming CAS for this? You can say yes, and I'll say you're full of shit. CAS didn't concoct this. They didn't make any of this stuff up. Because the Algonquin College guy has no connection or no first-hand involvement with CAS, has no reason to lie to me. Computers consultant at that CAS uses or used to do this, hash out of the breach and figure out things. He made money from CAS. He's got no reason to lie to me. And the reputation of his company, which he's owned for over 20 years, would be at stake if he lied to me, because he'd be charged. Coach Cable, no reason to lie to me. CAS, quite frankly, has no reason to lie to me. And I'm not lying to you. I've got all this stuff. It's going to be, and I know you don't have a record. If you just fall on a sword and say, you know what, it was a stupid mistake or somebody made me do it. Hell, if you even told me I'm a greedy person and I just need money to support my kids, I'd even accept that as an excuse. Might not fly for the courts, but I'm all right with that. But you put at risk 285 individuals. $285 people. Sorry, I should say 284 because you're actually on that list. 284 people, other than you. You would put their personal life information out there. So I'm sure there's at least one person on there that did not want their coworkers to know that they were involved with CAS for whatever reason. Simply by putting out their name. I see a shrug of the shoulder. You don't care, do you?
Twitch.
Yeah, that was a shrug of the shoulders. No, that wasn't a twitch. That was a shrug of the shoulders like you don't give a shit. You just thought, big social activist, you have chip off your shoulder with CAS. And here you go. I found a way to fuck over CAS. Pardon my French, but it's essentially it. You just found a way and you decided to do it once you thought you couldn't do it the proper way by, saying, well, the proper way that you were going through was filing your complaints with the board of directors and the executive director and following up with them and trying to get them to be accountable and transparent, and it's a noble cause. I get it. There are some organizations that are very secretive. We deal with the SIU. They're very secretive. You know what the SIU is? They're the guys that investigate police for either injuring or killing somebody. They're very secretive. The police complaints guys, the OIPRD, I think you know probably about OIPRD, because I know you weren't very happy with the officers that you videotaped and put on YouTube. And quite frankly, they weren't very happy about being videotaped in YouTube for just being there doing their job. If they were doing something wrong, I can see that to be a good reason to put it out there. But just because you're pissed off that the police show up to check on your well-being, and then you give grief to CAS and they show up, like, we got enough stuff to deal with. We don't need shit like that. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't very impressed. I'm the association, police association president. I don't like seeing my guys getting exposed for just doing their job properly. They did everything by the book there. You may not see it that way. CAS, they were doing their job. They get a complaint about something coming from a legitimate source in this police. We're obligated when we see something that just doesn't sit right with us, that maybe needs to be checked out by children's aid societies. We have a legal obligation under the Child and Family Services Act. And you should know about this. You took legislation in Algonquin, right, as part of your social services worker program. So you should know this. We have a legal obligation to bring that to the attention. If I don't and something happens to a child, I lose my $90,000 a year job. Or I get in trouble first, and then if it happens enough, I lose my job. Or could you lose my job? Lose pay. Not worth it for me. Not worth it just to walk away. I'd rather take 5 minutes, make that phone call, let the child protection workers do that. So I'm not a child protection worker. Everything that you've done in the last year, 15 months, as far as your Families United, your live leak videos, your YouTube videos, noble in some senses, but did you happen to see the code of ethics from the society, the social work, Ontario social work, whatever your governing body is for registered social workers? To not do things that discredit the reputation. And I'm paraphrasing here. Basically, you can't do something that looks bad on other social service workers or social workers. This looks like crap. I'll tell you now, your name's going to be out there because when we laid charges, we're allowed to put that out in a press release. We generally don't, but this one's pretty high profile. I'll tell you something. Some regulator, the registrar's office, is going to see that and go, she's a social service worker. She's registered with us. It's right on your Facebook page. It shows your employer. I'm sure your employer's not impressed. Oh wait, your employer called me the day this was going on Facebook. Immediately concerned that the manor was somehow implicated or involved, and that you were saying that this was okay by the manor. I assured your boss that that was furthest thing from the truth. The manor is not being discredited in any way, shape, or form. So you may have retained your job for that much longer, but given criminal charges, I don't know what your work, what your work employment, what kind of contract you have or whatever, but if you're on contract, I can almost guarantee you that if you were an employee of mine and I saw this stuff going on online, and now you're up on criminal charges, your butt would be canned. And I'd have every legal right to do that. Any questions of me? Have you ever gone for an hour plus now, I believe? Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes. Any questions of me? Comments, concerns? Mm-hmm. No? I'll give you one last chance. Because, I mean, honestly, this is your chance to tell me what because there's always story, sides of the story, right? Somewhere in there lies the truth. Either you can tell me your story, you can tell me the truth is what I'd really like to know, why you did this. The why is really the only question I have left to answer. I have my ideas. I think it was for money. At the end of the day, you were so pissed off, I'm going to get my pound of flesh in the way of a class action lawsuit. Just my thought. But see, now we go to trial on this because I can almost guarantee that you and Derek are going to say, this is bullshit. I'm going to fight this tooth and nail in court because that's just the type of person you are. I'm going to fight this every way I can. We get to trial, and you try and give the courts a different version of this or your version of this, I can almost guarantee you that the courts are going to not really see that side of it as clear as you think they might. So there's defenses out there, but I don't see a defense of necessity or self-defense or anything like that being involved here. You just did it sheerly out of greed and vindictiveness. You know what vindictiveness is, right? Revenge. Correct me if I'm wrong. If there's some other reason, say it now, because I'm open to listening, open to investigating anything that you tell me about how this came to transpire. But if you're not going to give me anything, this is the information I'm going to give to the Crown Attorney, and they're going to see this video and they're going to see that you're completely uncooperative. Cooperative to the point where you came in when I told you you were going to be arrested. Appreciate that. Saves me having to get a warrant. Saves me having to go arrest you in front of your kids. But not so cooperative that you're going to sit here with your mouth shut, chewing your gum, and not give me squat to investigate further. There's always another side of this. If your husband threatened you, I'm fine with that. I'll look into that. I will investigate that further. If there's a legitimate domestic issue here, that's part of my mandate as well, right? We have to investigate everything like that. Did anybody threaten, coerce you, bribe you to do this on their behalf? I'm waiting for the I respectfully decline to answer.
I respectfully decline to
right.
say anything.
All right. 4:36 p.m. I'm done. Follow me. I'll fingerprint you in relationship. One in that room right over there.